This is the JFJ Conspiracy, where the shop talk is rock.
I'm Jim.
And I'm Frank.
And I'm Jerry.
And this is the JFJ Conspiracy Podcast, where the shop talk is rock. There you go. How you guys doing tonight?
Wonderful.
Real good.
Very good. It's been a good week.
It's good to hear. I want to start the show off real quickly. We've all got a friend, Diane Morgan Randolph. We went to high school with her.
Great grade school for you and
We
I.
all
That's
did.
true,
Yeah,
Frank.
high school for me. We love you, Diane. Yep.
Been around forever.
And Patrick.
Great
And Molly
husband.
Buck.
Yeah, Pat, what a guy. But their daughter Molly had surgery today. She had an enlarged heart and some other issues, but she went through surgery, came out good. She's recovering, doing well. But I just want to ask everybody that's watching and listening to our podcast to send, positive vibes, prayers, thoughts, whatever, however you get down, send them to the Randolph family for us. We'd really appreciate it.
We love you, Lady Diane.
Indeed.
Love you. Yeah.
All right. Okay, question for you guys. One of the bands that we had featured on one of our shows, and I won't name the names, but they've decided they've completed an album, and I want to get your guys' take on this. They have elected, instead of releasing the album all at once, they have elected to make videos for the first 4 or 5 songs and just release singles one at a time instead of releasing the whole album. And Jerry, what do you think about that?
They're going to release singles the whole album, or just a little single first, then the album?
From what I'm gathering, the whole album is going to be released, and maybe the first 4 or 5 is going to have videos associated with it. So,
Well, I mean, I don't mind releasing a single a month or 2 before the album comes out, but then drop the album. Drop it.
yeah. What do you think, Jim?
Well, I'm a singles guy.
Mhm.
My favorite format is the 7-inch
Under 3
single.
minutes. Under 3 minutes.
Under 3 minutes. My favorite my favorite format is a 7-inch single
Right.
because it's say your piece, hero or zero. You either get it right or you don't. And so that it kind of harkens back to, back in the 60s, bands didn't put out albums. They put out singles. And then if the single sold, then the record company would say,
Drop
we need an album.
Mm.
And then they would rush in and turn out some piece of garbage.
Well, we're in a digital age.
Mostly full of cover tunes.
Yeah, extra stuff, filler stuff.
Yeah.
But we're in a digital age where there is no true singles. If you go to iTunes and you purchase for 99 cents a single, there's no B-side. You're not getting 2 songs. You're getting 1 song. You're not getting the feel of a 45 to flip over and listen to the other side and decide you like that song better. It's a single. It truly is a single.
True. However,
Talk to us, Jim. Talk to us.
we really live in a singles age because you can buy any song as a single now. You can buy any song off the album. Just go buy the song.
Well,
as opposed to buying the whole album.
Well, that's kind of my point, though. Release the whole album. First of all, you guys, and you know who you are, assemble your feces and assemble and put out the whole album at one time. And if I only want to buy a single,
assemble your what?
I will buy a single. I have that option. But what I want to do is I want to listen to the whole album. You all right over there, Jay?
Yeah, I thought I heard you say assemble your something.
Your feces, yes.
I believe you heard correctly.
I did not stutter on that.
Woo!
Now, if you release the whole album and I can peruse it through the digital format and decide I don't like that song, it's too slow, I don't like that one, then I can buy a single. I have that option. But coming from the old style, old school, I want to listen to the whole album, the continuity of the album, the flow of the album. And that's how I get down when I listen to music. I don't want to listen to singles. I've never, my son, Dominic, who I want to give him a special shout out to because he's the one who's been sending me a lot of the memes that we've been throwing out there on Instagram.
No, he's got it together. Your boy's got it together.
Yeah, he does. But he's a singles kind of guy. And I used to tell him, buy the whole album. What's wrong with you?
I know, but that's he's a product of his day.
Well, his excuse was, well, I don't have enough space on my iPod. Well, that's not an issue anymore. Everybody's got room.
That's not. But I agree with you. There's something beautiful in putting on an album and hearing the continuity, because they've picked the songs to put them in a particular order.
Right.
And when you hear them in that order, the album sort of has a certain continuity and a sense to it.
You get the feel of the album.
Correct.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about. You don't get that with singles, because unfortunately we're in a disposable era right now, and that's kind of where this comes from. I'm going to throw out this single, and in 2 months, 3 months, no one's going to be talking about it, so I'll release another single.
Well, we've taken away the value of music.
Yeah.
In the age of, for those of us who remember Napster, that music should just be free. You could share it. Well, now you've taken all the value out of it,
right,
and you can just hand it off from person to person. And it undercuts the work of the people who are making the music.
Well,
takes me back to takes me back. Sorry to interrupt, guys, but that little tidbit there, Jim, takes me back to when you loan somebody your album. Okay, you can listen to it for a week.
Yeah.
And how do we get it back? All messed up and all scratched.
Well, and
I'm sorry, that just popped in my head.
Well,
you would physically hand them the album.
Right.
I want it back in a week, bro.
Even
and
the
now
whole
everything is instant.
You guys have seen the picture, the meme of kids, of today will never know the struggle of making a mixtape. Remember, you had to listen to the whole song. You had to listen to 90 minutes or 60 minutes worth of music. Yep. You didn't just drag and drop and, oh, baby, I love you. Here you go. I was thinking of you. No, you had to listen to the whole thing.
I like that, Frank. I like that a lot. Yep.
And when you're making mixtapes for the car, boy, you better make sure you get it right, because if you come along that one song, it's like, oh, why did I put this on here? It just killed it. Or why did they put it on there? Somebody hands you the mixtape, right? Like, dude, why is this on there?
Afternoon Delight.
You can't have that one clinker on there, man. It's got to be good all the way through.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't need that. I'm sorry.
Or if you heard parts of a song that started and then it got cut, so you're like a half a second of, and then it wasn't easy, folks, back in the day.
Well, Cindy and I used to talk about how you would sit next to your little cassette recorder with the microphone by the radio and pray that the DJ would shut his mouth, because this is the only time you're going to be able to get this song, because you got to go to bed, so you wait. And they always talk.
And they talk over the intro.
That's how they're trained. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Good DJs know exactly when the lyrics start, and they flap their gums right up until that moment.
Yeah.
Real down steel. Yeah.
Yep.
Real down
Machine
steel.
Gun Kelly and all of them.
Oh.
Oh, well. So again, guys, if you're listening to this podcast, you know who you are. Release the whole album. Will you just throw me a bone? Yes. If it's all that.
I'm not overly bothered by it, but
Jim's kind of right, Frank. You and I are more older. Jim. I mean, we're all the same age, folks.
Actually, Frank's the youngest one amongst us.
I am. I'm
really,
kid.
But he's the more codgy one. But Jim's kind of right, Frank. In these days, everything is, and to get back to your son Dom, everything is single. You guys and I would hang out, and I remember I don't even know if they dropped singles back in those days, album. But to me, again, my example is Van Halen 2012, A Different Kind of Truth. They dropped Tattoo. Right. Now, that's the first Van Halen song with Roth since 1984, literally, the album and the year. So it was like a teaser.
Well, exactly.
And then the album dropped, I don't know, a month later, whatever, and I love that.
That's not an unusual practice, though.
No, it's not
to release a single ahead of the album.
If you pre-order the album, you get that one song, and you wait, and then you wake up one morning, all of a sudden you got the whole album on your phone.
Right.
Like, oh, booyah, here it is.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So I guess the hope would be that they release the singles in the same order that they are on the album.
Yeah, and that never happens either.
Now, guys, you guys are more in the biz. Is it a money thing? Is it a I don't want to oversaturate thing? Is it give them a little bit at a time thing? What is it? Or is it just these days that's just the way it's done and that's it?
I wouldn't want to speak for those guys.
Yeah, everyone's got their own reason for doing that.
Yeah, I would only be able to guess at it, and I don't think that's fair to them. I'm sure.
No, it's not.
I'm sure they gave it a lot of thought. It wasn't something they just thought up on the fly and said, "Oh, hey, yeah, let's do that." I mean, they're not dummies.
They have a reason for why they're doing it. I don't agree with it. Release the whole album.
Drop it.
End of story.
Drop it.
Yeah.
Give me a single. Wet my whistle. Drop it.
That would be my approach for release the whole album.
Yeah,
just because I don't have the patience to release a single every month or two or whatever.
Well, and when I've had music and I've put it out, I'm so glad to be over and done with it. The recording process once it's over. And then I want to share it with everybody.
You just want to get it all out there.
Yeah. So that way I can start on the next thing. So that's just my opinion. But, I've made pennies compared to most musicians who are out there selling
I own
music.
all your stuff.
And that's for where I got my pennies. Yeah.
That's right.
You are my biggest fan.
Well, I wasn't given pennies, I tell you that much. Well, there you go again.
That's it. All right. Well, that's my 2 cents on that. We're going to be looking at Deep Purple, Machine Head in a little bit.
What an album.
Good album to talk about. And you talk about singles. They have a single on there that I think we're probably all sick of.
I am.
But when you listen to the whole album in its entirety, it's got a whole different concept. You can skip over Smoke on the Water. The rest of the album, I thought it had some pretty good continuity to it. But
you guys turned me on to a beauty there. I was never into Deep Purple, never. And this album just kicks butt.
Great. Well, we'll get to that in a little bit.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, why don't we talk about the bands we're going to present? And let's start with you, Jerry, because I know you've got a real good artist you want to talk about.
Yes. The artist is DL Rossi, Rossi. Deep soul, American blues man is what they say. His key phrase is the one I highlighted is he takes his brokenness and writes damn nice songs about it. And they got pedal steel in the folks out in Conspiracy Land. There's pedal steel guitar. But it's like he just reminds you in a very clean way. It's very raw. Mm-hmm. It's not overproduced. It's very raw. It's beautiful. And it's just, the guy is a cancer survivor. He fell in love, got divorced, played around, did the booze, did the, and it's such a wonderful album. And it comes in at 30 minutes, Jim. And it's just beautiful. And if I may, he debuted with an EP called The Apartment in 2015. He's got Crooked Love Volume 1, Crooked Love Volume 2, and this album, Frank, A Sweet Thing, which the single This Road is off of. Right. Came out about 2 weeks ago, folks. It's just it's not a downer. It's just I'm listening to the songs and it's like, yeah, I went through that. I didn't like it. Yeah, and this guy's beautiful. This guy's beautiful. We got drums on Christian Pascal. We got bass J.R. Collins. We got guitars, mandolin, pedal steel Kenny Hudson, keyboard Grant Pittman. He's a Detroit native. He's out of Nashville now. Produced and mixed and engineered by his brother Nolan Rossi. Mm-hmm. Mastered by Joe Causey. And a little tidbit, guys. A little tidbit. Back in the day when they had the freecreditreport.com band, the 3-piece.
Right.
Remember? Well, then they came out with a national search and they came out with the new band, and it was that 5-piece. It's like a curly-haired guy with glasses. Guess who's playing the drums? Danny Rossi back then.
Right.
DL Rossi now.
That is funny.
And it's just such a whammy. Because when I found out that was him, I couldn't believe it. I go, yeah, that's him.
But
now he's got long hair, full beard, but it's just soulful, beautiful lyric, very raw recording, simple. And wish we had more seconds on our watch is one of his songs. I need a good woman for a good man. It's beautiful, soulful stuff. And I love it, Frank. What a find. I listened to this like 6 times.
Cool.
And it's just, it takes you places. It reminds me of at a time in my life, I'm in a dive bar in Mississippi, and I'm in the corner, and there's this one dude that just rolls up, and he's got his guitar and his harmonica, and he just lays it out.
Yeah.
And you get emotional, and like I'm getting now, folks. But this is just heavy, deep, raw, beautiful stuff about life's issues and how we get through them and how we succeed and carry on. So DL Rossi.
And the song we play is This Road.
This Road.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's give it a listen.
Trying to get home, and if I saw it coming, I could have known. But the weight of it all, it's too much. And I wish I could be stronger if I knew how to stay sober. And I don't know, oh, I don't. Wish I could call you, but you stepped out when it all got too deep, and now you're just a ghost. Oh, you're just a ghost. Call my mom, call my dad. Let them know I made it, but they didn't even know where I was. Oh, no one ever knows where I go. And I wish I could be stronger if I knew how to stay sober. And I don't know, oh, I don't know. Wish I could call you, but you gave up when it all got too deep, and now you're just a ghost. Oh, you're just a ghost.
All right, that's DL Rossi with This Road. Good stuff.
Get the album, folks.
I hear
A
what
sweet thing.
you're talking about with the very emotional music.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Right.
That's just the tip of the iceberg, folks.
Right.
A Sweet Thing by DL Rossi. Oh, yeah. Sometimes, I love to rock and, but
Yeah.
sometimes you got to take a step back and like, oh man, I remember when I went through that. Oh man, I remember when I went through that.
Yeah.
And it's not a downer. I don't finish the album and think, man, I'm down right now. I finish the album thinking, man, I really appreciate getting those part of my emotions revisited.
Right.
Is how I take it. I'm not down about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. I was 24. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I was 28 when that happened. So it's just, and again, it's very raw, very simple, just beautiful. His voice, some wonderful backup singers, and it's beautiful stuff. DL Rossi.
And it's funny that you're describing his music this way, because I just posted on Instagram today the guitar pick that said music is what feelings should sound like.
Right.
Yeah, nailed it.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yep.
What'd you think, Jim?
I really appreciated it. I loved the mix on it. It's just engineered so well
Very
and
dark
produced so well,
yeah.
and great bass tone in there.
Mm.
Obviously, I listen for that, but
Mhm.
Well, yeah,
being a bass player myself,
he is, folks. He's a badass.
good song. I mean, he's got his voice really matches the song. I mean, so so this is the only song I've heard so far, and so I thought the guy's got really a great country and western voice,
Mm-hmm.
and it really matches well with that steel guitar in there, and but good tune. I mean, well written. You know, the songcraft is great.
Yes,
Yeah, I agree.
it's beautiful.
And he's available on Bandcamp. And did you see anywhere else where people could
Oh yeah,
check out his music?
Facebook. He's on YouTube. His old band is on YouTube also, which is the band that won the creditreport.com commercial is Victorious, as in we are victorious. Secrets, not the chonies.
A little play on words there.
So if you go to YouTube and look up Victorious Secrets, you'll see him playing drums, folks. But now he writes his own stuff. He's on guitar. He's got a good band. It's beautiful stuff. Again, cancer survivor, divorce survivor. You know, the blues happen to you once in a while, and some people can share it.
Yeah.
In a way that you can accept it and think, yeah, man, yeah, that happened to me. And that's how I took it. I wasn't bummed out after listening to it. It's just, it takes you, to me, music and rock and roll takes you all the places.
Right.
We mostly like the happy party ones, but sometimes, you know, you get into one. Oh yeah. And it's a wonderful album. Yeah. Yeah. A Sweet Thing. DL Rossi.
Sweet Thing by DL Rossi. Check it out.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jerry.
Wonderful, beautiful stuff. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to switch gears a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and present my band. They're called the Night Talkers. And they call themselves a punk band. And I call them a good rock and roll band. Matter of fact, as I'm talking, I'm going to post up a photo that they sent me. They're getting ready to go on tour, I think Friday of this week, and they'll be all over the place. But their original bassist, his name was Matt, and they had written some songs together because they were just three guys that wanted to get together and play live. And then along the way, as life happens, Matt decided I have to assemble my feces and get my life together. And so he quit the band. And,
I just figured it out, Frank, what you're saying.
Well, son of a gun. Well,
I wasn't always the sharpest tool in the shed,
boy.
but I got it.
That's a Charter Oak High School education.
Better
there,
better late than never.
Assemble
Wow.
your fecal matter, folks.
Yep. Okay. Oh, boy.
I'm sorry, I just got it.
Well, they got their new bassist, Will, and they kind of, one of the deciding factors of putting him in the band was he had a van. And, you know, he could haul the gear around. So that's always a plus when you're starting a band out, is you need someone who can carry the gear around. And Will fit that bill. So his name's Will Carter. He plays bass and vocals. Guitars, we have Elliot Pride. Guitars and vocals. Elliot Varula also. He plays drums and vocals as well. The album, it's called Code 1079. It came out April 12th of this year. And I'm going to play you the single of that called Code 1079. In my police days, that meant a bomb threat. So I'll have to check it out and see if that fits in with the groove of the song. I'm pretty sure it does. But these guys started, they were just going to do an EP, and they kept doing songs and more songs, and they end up releasing an LP. And they've got a good variety of songs, but they're hard rockers all the way through. So what I'm going to play for you is Code 1079. Here we go. I'm going to cut that off right there.
I like that.
You know, I immediately thought of old Iron Maiden, Running Free. You know, just that kind of,
Oh, wow.
you know, punkish, because that first couple albums that they did had that punk flavor to it, you know, but they were rock and roll. And this kind of does the same thing for me. I like the way that they, you know, it's three guys is making some noise and doing a good job making that noise. What'd you think, Jim?
Yeah, they kind of strike me. You know, when I first heard it, what was it, last week or whenever you sent it over?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just thought good hard rock. But listening to it right now, after you made the kind of punk statement, yeah, it's definitely got some punk overtones in it.
Right.
I would say whether you're a punk or whether you're a hard rocker, you could get into this band. You know.
Agreed.
Kind of like you know, back in the days of early Motorhead, you know, were they a punk band, were they a metal band? It was kind of hard to tell, but
right.
You get you know, guys with mohawks standing next to guys with long hair at the shows, and it didn't really matter, right?
That's it.
So
Times.
just good hard rocking stuff. I really like this.
Well, that's not a bad comparison to you know, think, hey, these guys could be in that kind of category. Because that's rock royalty, in my opinion, when you talk about Motorhead. So,
yeah.
So you liked it, Jerry?
I do. To me, that guitar riff is totally Satriani Ice 9 from his debut. I think just that sound, just that. Yeah. But I like it because it is. Jim's right. To me, I get kind of the way they're delivering. That's a little punkish. Mm-hmm. And then you hear the riff. No, that's a little rock. That's a little. So I do like it. I do like it. That's good stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Very well done.
Good deal.
Very well done.
Whatever you want to label it, it's great.
Yeah.
I don't.
Good point. Yep.
Yeah. Call it punk. Call it hard rock.
Call it what you
whatever.
want.
Yeah. I don't care. I like it.
It's entertaining.
That's it. That's all that matters.
Yep. It was of course, I don't know if you got it from the lyrics. They are from Nashville. It was recorded at at Shed Recordings. It was mixed at Drastic Sounds by a guy by the name of Matt Yunker. It was mastered by Black Matter Mastering by Dan Emery. Katie Turner does the artwork for him. I guess they've got another EP out also, and I think she did the artwork for that as well. These guys are on Facebook. Their music is on Spotify. It's on iTunes. It's on Bandcamp. And I'm going to put the links on our Facebook page and our YouTube page also, so you guys can check them out. And as well as the links to the shows that they've got coming up. So
wonderful,
good stuff.
Good stuff.
Yeah, I like it when young bands come up.
I like it.
They sound fresh.
Little attitude and a little sass.
Yeah,
you know, I like it.
Catchy.
Sounds good. All right, well, that is Night Talkers. What do you got for us, Jim?
Okay, so I found this band. They followed us on Instagram, and I'm gonna when it showed up in the Instagram feed, I'm gonna tell you right now, I am a sucker for any band that uses a mod target in their logo.
Really?
And the instant I saw that, I was like, I got to check these guys out, and so I did. And so the name of the band is the Soniks. You'll find them under the Soniks UK. They're a new band. They're out of Essex in the UK, obviously. And although the Essex, for some reason, I wouldn't know where Essex is.
Right.
But for some reason, it just makes it sound more authentic.
Oh, heck yeah. It's like Def Leppard.
The Soniks from Essex, UK.
Yeah,
right.
Sounds wonderful. Yeah.
And so fairly new band. They recorded this at the end of 2018, but it's just been recently released. Three guys. It's Mark McLaren on lead vocals and guitar, Paul Hubbard on bass and backing vocals, and Paul Campbell on drums. I watched the video, and they just look mod as heck, and which I just love. I mean,
Jim.
Yeah, just the whole look. And so they list as influences all the usual suspects: The Who, Small Faces, Kinks, The Jam, Paul Weller. And I wouldn't say they particularly sound like any of those, but they sound like kind of an amalgamation of that. Like if you put them all in a blender and spit them out, that's kind of what you get. And so anyway, I really like it. The name of the song is called State of Mind, and it's a song that is around the theme of mental illness.
No.
And I'll say a little more about that after we listen to the tune. So.
All right, I'm going to play it here, but what I want to say real quick is Soniks with a K, also because your spell check will take you someplace else every time.
Yes. Okay, so let's spell that out. But we'll put a link down below.
Absolutely, we will.
But it's the Soniks, Soniks.
Right.
And
Thank
let's
you for that.
let's take a listen.
Yeah.
Here's the song. It's State of Mind. All right, well, that is the Soniks with State of Mind. You know, it's funny when you hear happy music and the lyrics aren't so happy.
I know. It's a total Van Halen trick, total Kiss trick, total any number of bands do that same thing. And Smiths come to mind, right? Yeah, this real happy sounding music and the most depressing lyrics in the world.
I liked the music though. It was, like I say, very catchy. Had me. Matter of fact, I've got a cramp in my shin right now from tapping my toe because it was a faster pace. You know?
Right.
I gotta need to take some ibuprofen after that, but good recording.
Good recording, and I don't know if you noticed it doesn't really super stick out, but man, there's just some great bass work in there. Some total Entwistle, Bruce Foxton, little
in the background,
fast little lines in there, man.
It's
just cooking along in some of those spots.
I heard,
and then lays back with that just kind of easy thing where he follows a guitar. And
there was some definite even Paul McCartney pops in there because you can just hear it's reaching out to you.
I was gonna say, guys, it's even though it's new and fresh, Jim, I've heard that before.
Yeah, it's got a very familiar sound.
Maybe it's the formula. I was like, oh, I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
There were things about it that kind of immediately reminded me of the Jam, and but it doesn't sound like the Jam, right?
No.
So it's
no,
loved it, loved
Good
it.
stuff.
So
it's jammy without the Jam.
Was record of the week on Mod Radio, and it's already been streamed over 35,000 times.
Wow.
So they're getting it out there. They're getting some play and getting some recognition. So the song, what I would like to say about it also is it deals with the subject of mental illness.
Right.
But the proceeds from the song go to a charity called Mind. which is a mental health charity in England and Wales. It was founded
Bless
in
'em.
1946. They offer information and advice to people with mental health problems, lobbies government and local authorities on their behalf, and it helps raise public awareness about mental health issues.
All
So not only is it a great song, supports a great cause. So
Yeah, wonderful.
get out
stuff.
there and drop a buck on it, man, and
It's well worth the money.
Yes.
help some people out, right?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
anyway,
Yes.
they're
By all means.
released this. They recorded that last year. Currently going back into the studio, working on an EP. So I'm looking forward to the EP.
Very cool.
I hope they release something physical, like a 10-inch or
Yeah.
something would be good.
Vinyl.
Well, you were so happy to get your
I'll pay those import duties.
yeah.
It's
Oh,
all right.
Jim will. Jim will not. Jim will not save money on imports, folks. Oh, you got vinyl. You say vinyl imports. Jim is spending.
for the right thing.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. That's good.
anyway, yeah, you were gonna probably mention cheap cassettes, which
I was gonna say, yeah, you were very happy to get that in the mail, so
yeah,
that's
absolutely.
cool. I always, always look to see if bands have vinyl, and so few do now because it's not cheap to make, it's not cheap to reproduce as it used to be. So
Yeah,
everyone's doing
Well, it's
short runs, and it's the price is outrageous.
probably cheap if you're pressing out 50,000 of them, right? But
Right.
Yeah. Couple 300. Yeah. But still worth it. Still
good
worth
stuff.
it.
Yeah. So
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
well,
And
Well-
especially signed, right, Jim? You got yours signed, and that's wonderful stuff.
Yeah, it's good collector's item.
So
Sounds good.
the single is available on Amazon Music.
All right.
So and some other formats that I'm not. So you can stream it on Spotify. You can stream it on Deezer, which I'd
Deezer.
never heard of. You can find them on YouTube. You can stream it on Tidal, Tidal, another one I hadn't heard of. Amazon Music also, but buy it on Amazon.
I wonder if those are big platforms across the pond or something. Because
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Because I mean, Spotify is really the only one I'd kind of knew. Maybe I'm behind the times. I don't know. That's totally
be.
possible. So
Well, we're probably all behind the times in Britain. But,
Soniks UK.
we're not over there, so
we'll have to check it out.
yeah.
We are the mods, baby.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. That'll work.
Love
All right.
it.
Well, those are three very different artists that we've presented tonight. I like that. I like it when we have some variety in the mix there. That's good stuff.
Absolutely.
Give the listeners some oral excitement. That's always a good thing to do.
Absolutely.
All right, well, let's move back in time, shall we? Let's go back to
What a treat, you guys.
the 70s.
Way
And,
back. The Wayback Machine, Mr.
yes.
Peabody.
I picked Deep Purple
Coming,
Machine
Mr.
Head.
Wizard.
I picked that album because it had the most tunes that I was familiar with from Deep Purple. And not just Smoke on the Water, but Highway Star has always been one of my favorite songs of theirs, as was Space Truckin'. I know Jim didn't care for the lyrics of Space Truckin', but a little bit of history on that is it's all Ian Gillan just playing with words. And there's a lot of meaning to that song that the listener just doesn't get unless you're familiar with what
Unless you're on acid.
Well, that helps too. That helps too. But that particular
Just saying,
song,
folks, don't hate me.
Space Truck is a good jam. It's only
It's
4
a
minutes
damn
long.
good jam.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, it is.
7 songs on a record. 7 songs back in the day. The longest song was 7 minutes and some change. Lazy, which is kind of a jam. Had a
One of
little,
my faves.
some blues and different things to start off with, and it takes a while to get kicking, but once it does, they pick it up, and it's a good song. What I
It's an
liked about
eye-opener.
the album
Guys.
is the recording itself. We're talking about the beginnings of heavy metal, and it's such a clean sound. It was every instrument is just crystal clear. And they didn't need tons of distortion. Richie Blackmore, you listen to his Strat, there's not a whole lot of distortion on that.
No, it's got that clean single coil
Very clean.
Yep.
sound to it.
John Lord's keyboards are more distorted than Richie Blackmore's guitar.
Yeah.
They're dirty
That's
keyboards,
true.
Frank,
Yes.
to get to your point. They're dirty, filthy
Dirty.
keyboards, but they're clean.
Yeah. It's
And,
good.
and a rock album with keyboards, woo!
if you took that album and you took
love
Smoke on the Water out of it because everybody's heard it until they're numb, you still have an excellent album. Like I said, Highway Star and Space Truckin' are my two favorite tracks on that album. And then Lazy is probably my least favorite, only because it goes on a little too long, and it reminds me of Deep Purple Live, where every song was a 10-minute song because they jammed.
Yeah.
You had Blackmore on one side of the stage and John Lord on the other. Oh, yeah, but they jammed. They didn't even know how to end songs. They just went back and forth until one of them, raised the white flag.
All right, I broke a string, Richie. Hang on. We'll end it here.
Excellent. That was the original band, the original members of Deep Purple, as I remember them. The most classic lineup, in my opinion.
I would agree.
But one of my favorite albums from the 70s. What'd you think of it, Jim?
I kind of wanted to hate this album.
Mm-hmm.
I really, because
Smoke on the Water was on it.
No, not because Smoke on the Water, just because it was too jammy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so
I loved it.
But that was their shtick.
So Highway Star, let me just say this. My absolute favorite song on the album.
Mm-hmm.
Because that interplay between Blackmore and John Lord,
Mm-hmm.
It's not just meandering. I mean, it's really part of the composition.
Right. It has a purpose.
It makes sense in the whole.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
With the W.
It's not just like, okay, Richie, take a solo. Okay, John,
Right.
take a solo. It's very contextual, and I think if you took a lot of that out, it's not as good a song.
Right.
Even though it's double the length of my normal.
There we go, folks.
Yeah.
I do like Smoke on the Water. That's just a classic riff. So when it comes on the radio, I crank it up, man. I don't go like, this is the millionth time. It's. I'm still down with it, and I love Space Truckin'.
Mm-hmm.
And when it's actually one of the shortest.
Yes, it
songs
is.
on the album. I really
folks.
I didn't want to like Lazy
Right.
because it starts off and before there's even
Great guitar.
I think there's like 3 solos before we even get to the
The lyrics.
first verse, right?
Yep.
Well, they were
But
lazy.
it was so blasted infectious.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it. It had such a good groove to it,
Yeah.
and I thought this is going to be the song I hate, and I didn't.
Yeah. Well, what I was amazed
I
at,
liked it overall. I think it's something that it's held up as one of the kind of great rock and roll albums, right? I don't know. I read somewhere it was like number 35
It's pretty
out
high
of
up there.
top
but what I
top
want to know,
100 best hard rock albums of all time, and
Yeah,
there's
I
a
never
reason
owned it.
for it because it's great.
what I want to know
I never
is
owned it either. No.
how is it most people have not heard of the other 4 songs on that album other than Highway Star, Space Truckin', and Smoke on the Water? Because if you ask anybody, have you ever heard Maybe I'm a Leo? Never heard. Who does
I
that?
love Maybe I'm a Leo.
The groove
That's my
on that
favorite.
song, it just is awesome. Yeah.
Oh,
And the actual first single off the album was Never Before.
Yeah.
It wasn't Smoke on the Water. It wasn't Highway
No.
Star. It wasn't
Didn't do
Space
anything.
Truckin'.
Never
Yeah.
Before is real poppy keyboard, like
Yeah.
as in poppy.
Mhm.
Yeah, very pop-ish.
Yeah. You liked it, Jerry?
Yes, I did. I got right next to it. Very poppy, great keyboard.
Yeah.
Yes. And guys, thank you for turning my. I was not a Deep Purple fan, guys. Smoke on the Water. And what I like about, when we pick an album, we all pick an album, is I get into it and I put my ear things in,
Mm-hmm.
to which now I can hear lyrics a lot
Right.
better than the AM radio in 1979. And it makes a lot more sense to me when you can hear those certain things. And again, Jim, great bass work in here. Great keyboard work.
Oh.
And if you were to ask me, hey, what's a good rock and roll band that has a keyboard in it? I wouldn't know what to tell you.
Mhm.
But now I do. I love it. I love this album.
I'm not a huge organ fan, but like there's
No.
just you cannot fault
It works
fault
here.
John Lord's musicianship.
No.
I mean, each guy is just
Oh,
plays some
Lights out.
smoke and stuff.
yes. And it works
Smoking.
here. It
And
works here.
if you listen to any of their 30 live albums, And,
That's a kind estimate, Frank.
my only issue with Deep Purple is every time one of them farted, they put out a live album, and so they had those long jam sessions.
Back to the
and
fecal
forth.
matter. folks.
I must have had tacos for dinner. But anyways, they jammed, and they had these solos back and forth, and Richie took that with him to Rainbow, because I remember when I went and saw Rainbow, all their songs were super long, and they did the same thing, and they had the same type of Hammond organ and everything else, and it was just, like Jerry says, dirty organ.
Oh,
And
filthy.
more
I love
distorted
it.
than the guitars, but yet they fought back and forth in the whole bit.
Right.
And that's just a Richie Blackmore staple. He likes that.
But you notice as Rainbow kind of went on, they became more concise,
Yes.
more sort of radio hits, 3-minute, 4-minute song.
I think a lot of that had to do with the singers who were writing the actual lyrics.
Probably so.
Yeah.
And I think that's not a bad thing, because
No.
I think sometimes you need to rein in that. At the end of the day, you got to have songs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It can't all just be jams.
Can't all just be jams. And so I don't know if this is true for you, Frank, but I was a fan of Rainbow.
Yes.
And then I went back to Deep Purple to kind of, see from whence it all sprang, I guess you could
Get a
say.
good base, yeah.
Well,
And so I went out and bought, I don't know, Deep Purple's Best of Deep Purple, Deep Purple's Greatest Hits. And so that was sort of my, kind of what I had. I think I had a cassette copy or whatever. And of course I had Highway Star, Smoke on the Water.
Right. My
They had three songs off this album at least.
Right. Well, my introduction to Deep Purple was actually from my brother's 8-tracks. He had Deep Purple at the Royal Albert Hall with some symphony or something, and it was them playing with a symphony, and they did all the hits. And I thought, boy, these songs would be really cool if you didn't have all these guys playing violins right here.
Orchestra
didn't have a
going on
symphony.
with it. Yeah.
So I went back as a youngster and listened to a lot of the older Deep Purple stuff, but I couldn't get into it back then because my attention span then was kind of like yours now. 3 minutes is about as long as it's going to be, and then I'm on to something else.
Yeah.
And so I didn't get deep into Deep Purple until, like you said, I listened to Rainbow, and I had all their stuff from the Dio years all the way to Jolene Turner, Graham Bonnet, the whole bit. Then I went back, and Deep Purple came back. They had a comeback album, the one you've talked about, Perfect Strangers.
Perfect Strangers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good album, but that's still, when you go back and listen to it, there's only a couple of songs on there that are really good rockers. And then it goes back again to the stuff of more of the trading off of the leads with John Lord and Richie Blackmore.
I really like Perfect Strangers.
Have you listened to it lately?
No, but I loved it when it came out.
Well,
Do I need to go back and revisit it? Is that
please
what it is?
do, and tell me if you feel the same, because
I will. I will
I
do
will
that.
too, because this is, I was not, sorry to interrupt, I was not a Deep Purple fan, guys.
Yeah.
I've heard Smoke on the Water, I've heard Space Truck, and yada
Sure.
yada, Go On to My Kiss,
Yeah.
and Van Halen, Cars. But this album is
It's
great,
good all the way
guys.
through.
It's
Cover
I
to
love
cover.
it. I love it. And
Yeah.
again, that keyboard thing, that filthy keyboard. What do I got here? Pictures of Home. I've got keyboard solo and badass bass.
yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
There's
Glover.
a lot of
This album's
very
great.
bluesy,
yeah,
Yes.
very bluesy influence in a lot of it. And then you got How Do We Start, which is just a flat out
just a rocker.
rock and
Yeah.
roll
Yeah.
fantasticness.
I
Oh,
just lent my Black Sabbath Born Again album to Dominic, which is got Ian Gillan on vocals.
Yeah.
And he had never heard it, so I'm waiting back to hear what he thinks about that, because Ian Gillan was all proud. He says, I'm going to put some sex into Black Sabbath because it doesn't all have to be all evil and stuff. Yeah. So you can imagine the way he's screaming and yelling and everything over the Black Sabbath album. One of their best albums of non-Ozzy stuff. Not Dio quality.
Here we go.
Yeah.
It's not up there with Dio, but it is still...
But
Oh.
what is?
The
And,
best Black Sabbath album has Ozzy singing on it.
And that's the name of that tune, huh?
All right. Or you could do the Cheech and Chong. Dominant stole my Black Sabbath record, man.
Strong disagree on the whole.
Yeah.
best Sabbath album had Ozzy on it.
Well,
I know, guys. We've been here before.
Yeah.
That's why it takes three of us.
I might ask you,
But-
what does this sound? That's the record skipping all on getting that same spot
I know,
over and over.
We'll be arguing this point, I don't know, from now until the cows come
I'm
home
telling
or
you.
whatever, but-
Yep.
So Jerry, real quick.
Doesn't Michael Jackson do a song
Hold
like that
on.
where he goes,
Hold on. The best
huge
Black
hit?
Sabbath album has Ozzy singing on it?
Yes.
And so which album would that be? Their debut?
I'll stand by it. Debut.
Okay, so everything after that was completely downhill.
No. We sold our souls for rock and roll is great. That's something.
That's best of album.
Well, but it's like
Yeah, of course it's great. When you can cherry pick the best track.
I'll take the debut.
Really?
Or
Right.
any who else sang with Black Sabbath?
Dio,
Rick Ocasek from the
Tony
Cars.
Martin.
Who else you got?
Tony Martin.
Black Sabbath is Ozzy,
Look,
Tony,
look.
Geezer, Bill.
Three words that are going to put that to rest.
Yeah.
Ronnie, James,
Dio.
Dio, baby. Oz cannot hold a
Change the
candle
whole
to the man.
landscape of the band.
Well, no. If you want to go sonically and vocally, hey, who's the better singer, Ozzy or Dio? I'd say Dio in a heartbeat. Who's the best Black Sabbath singer? Ozzy in a landslide.
You just contradicted yourself. but that's
Guys.
okay.
No, I didn't contradict
You
myself.
just said Dio's a better singer.
On his own. If you were to ask me who's a better vocalist, Ronnie James Dio or Ozzy Osbourne, I'd say, Dio's a way better vocalist. Who's the best singer Sabbath ever has?
Glenn Hughes.
James Dio.
Hey,
Glenn Hughes. Now there's
that
there's
album
a
with
good one.
Glenn Hughes.
Who else sang with Black Sabbath?
Glenn
Who's
Hughes.
next?
Gillen.
Who's next? Taylor Swift.
Tony
Did she do a song
Martin.
with Black Sabbath?
Look,
Ronnie
Look.
James Dio, Ian Gillian.
I'll
now.
take any of
Killing me.
them. I'll take any of them over Ozzy.
Taylor Swift.
She didn't sing.
Are you
with
sure
Sabbath.
she didn't record with Sabbath? Are you sure?
Well, if she
Ixnay,
did, at least
Ixnay,
she'd sing it in tune. That's for sure.
All right. I'm not sure why we're belaboring the point. Now, because
Anyway, so who's got the next pick?
We're not gonna get anywhere with this. So.
for the next
No,
episode.
that's
Is
why
it?
we
Is it?
do this. I still love you guys, but the best Black Sabbath singer who sang for Black Sabbath and who sang for Black Sabbath is Pinchy Ozzy Osbourne. Folks,
Oh boy, you weren't
Where
even the
we-
best harmonica player in the band.
well, who wants to play
Certainly
harmonica?
wasn't the best
Sing.
lyricist.
No.
Jeez, here we go.
Who's got the next pick, Jim or
The
Jerry?
solo album did
Jerry does.
Jerry.
Oh, you guys
Okay.
ready?
Not gonna be Black Sabbath's
yeah,
debut. Is
Pick
it?
pick any album, Black Sabbath debut or whatever. What's
No,
your
I'm
album?
gonna pick a rockin' album that I wore out, but you two heads might not. You guys will probably hate it, but I don't care. You ready?
You know you don't care.
Foreigner 4.
All right.
Easy, Frank. Are you assembling your fecal matter right now?
No, I've got it. I've got that album.
I wore it out.
Did you?
Foreigner 4.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I think I wore mine out too because I set my Pepsi on the cover.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
did you use it to keep the table level?
Yes.
Yeah.
Worked. Yeah.
Are you reading spaghetti?
Good
Yeah,
album.
hey,
It would work for that.
Good album, good pick.
All right. Hold
That's
on. So
it.
I got to look it up to see what's actually on it.
Oh, jeez. Urgent. That'll clue you in.
Yeah.
But the whole album, Girl on the Moon's my fave. Yeah. Jukebox Hero.
Jukebox
Is
Hero.
Jukebox Hero on that too?
Yeah, and it's when they stripped it all down. Remember when Foreigner debuted? It's 3 Americans with 3 Britons.
1981.
I believe it's 81? Okay, yeah. And then they stripped it down. They got down to 4 members.
This was it was
Hence
produced by
Foreigner
Mutt
4.
Lange too.
Mutt.
Waiting for a Girl Like You, Jukebox Hero, Break It Up, Luann. I haven't even heard of the last.
Urgent.
All on the radio. Heard them all on the radio, guys.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not
they're
sure
right
about
in
the
there
last
with
two.
Journey and
I
Styx
don't know how many
and
Black
REO.
Sabbath things I heard with Dio on the radio, but I sure heard a lot of Foreigner 4 on the radio. You guys, I love you, but
Luann. Are you
I love you
serious?
too, Jerry, even when you're wrong.
Yeah.
no, well, that's don't hate me because I'm beautiful, Jim.
Yeah.
Don't hate me. Keep going over those tunes.
I have to go back and actually listen to them. Some of them
Yeah.
you know by the
Heard them
titles.
all on the radio.
I'm sure you did. You listened to KKDJ. That's why I was listening to KLOS back then, and KMET.
KKDJ. You mean KHJ?
KHJ, KKDJ.
I never heard of KKDJ.
You never
What?
heard of KKDJ?
Real 10Q?
They were like the KKDJ was like the direct.
Is that like KNAC?
What'd you call it? They were sort of so you had KMET and KLOS. Well, then you had
Right, I remember that.
KHJ and KKDJ were sort
What was
of.
KKDJ? What was the station number? I probably know it then.
I don't even remember now.
I don't know. I only remember
Say
their
it right there.
tagline. Their tagline was, "If you're into rock, you're into KKDJ."
Yeah, they didn't last long.
No, I think KHJ buried them.
That's why.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There's too many calls.
Sorry,
in.
guys. There it is. 400.
but it was kind of the exact same format. They
Yeah.
kind of tried to do KHJ's format and didn't do it as well.
Right. Well, good pick, Jerry. We'll have to go back and listen to it and.
Wore
Just-
it out behind the dairy.
Yep. Up there,
Eight
upstairs.
Yep, upstairs with Doug.
Doug.
Yep.
Dude.
And who's this girl? Katie.
I don't know. I don't remember that.
Doug and Katie. Yeah.
Katie. How funny.
Sorry,
well.
folks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, if you guys don't have anything else, I guess we'll wrap it up then. And you know what to say.
The shop is closed.
Shop
Keep
is
rocking.
closed. All right. Good night, people.